Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us this evening as we continue in the introduction to Shaar Habitachon. This is our sixth shiur, Baruch Hashem, in this subject. Amazing. We're still in the intro, in the introduction to Shaar Habitachon. As you can see, there's a lot to talk about. We'd like to thank our host, Mrs. Hedvat. Thank you very much for having us. Tizkila mitzvot. May it bring your home and family much blessing and success. Tizkila mitzvot. Thank you very, very much. So we're going to finish up now the last, I believe it's 4 different advantages that the Baal Habitachon has over the alchemist. If you remember, we've been talking about this subject for a while, the idea that there was a concept back in the time of Chovot HaLevavot, which is about 1,000 years ago, of the ideal money maker. How could somebody make money in the best possible way that would, like it's like a never-ending cash flow, and the alchemist was such a symbol of such a person because he purportedly was able to make tin and iron and all kinds of regular metals into gold and silver. And what that means is that he basically has this kind of magical power to create nonstop, product of lucrative product of gold and silver and sell it, etc. So the Chovot HaLevavot went out on a mission to try and explain how a person who has bitachon, Baal bitachon, person who has true trust and faith in Hashem, has advantages. He has many different advantages over the alchemist, and we are presently going to discuss number 7, 8, 9, and Be'ezrat Hashem 10, thus completing this section of the introduction. So Be'ezrat Hashem, Shem Hashem Naseh v'Natzliach. Let's begin. So Hayitron HaShevi'i, the 7th advantage. שאומן הכימיקה ייתכן שלא יעלה בידו להגיע אל מזונו על ידי הכסף והזהב שברשותו, מפני שלפעמים לא יהיה נמצא בירו אוכל. He says one of the most interesting things is that this alchemist, who seemingly has it made, he may very well find himself in a predicament where he doesn't even have food to eat. שנאמר, as it says in the pasuk in Yechezkel, כספם וזהבם לא יוכל להצילם ביום עברת השם. Their gold and their silver will not be able to save them on the day of Hashem's anger. As you know, for example, there was a man in Yerushalayim in the time of, before the destruction of the Second Temple. His name was Kalba Savua. Kalba Savua was a fellow that had so much wealth. He alone, the Gemara tells us in Masechet Gitin, was able to supply the entire city of Yerushalayim, which was under siege by the Romans. For 6 months, he had enough food and enough to take care of the entire city of Yerushalayim for 6 months. That's why they called him Kalba Savua, because anybody who came in hungry like a kalba, which means a dog, left savua, he left satiated. And he was able to take care of everybody. Little did the man know that his own people who were warmongering and wanted them to go and fight against the Romans and force the Jews to not be able to survive under siege, they went and they set his storage houses of food on fire. And then they didn't have any food and they were stuck with nothing. So here's a man that was so wealthy and so well-to-do, and then it says in the Gemara that unfortunately they ended up finding his daughter looking for food in piles of animal number 2. She was looking for food and she didn't have anything. So here's a person that had so much, and then their own family members are looking for food in the most low of places. So the Chovot HaLevavot is telling us, even if a person thinks they have it made, they are in the heights of the heights in terms of their financial status, kaspam u'ze'avam, their silver and their gold, lo yuchal la'atzilam b'yom ivrat Hashem, will not be able to save them if Hashem unleashes his wrath. Gam kaspam, gam ze'avam lo yuchal la'atzilam. Now, that's when a person trusts in his monetary abilities. V'ilu, however, haboteach ba'Hashem, somebody who trusts in Hashem, lo yechsar lo mezono b'chol et u'b'chol makom ad sof yamav. He will never be lacking his mazon, his sustenance, at any time, at any place, until the end of his life. As it is written in Eov, Bera'av, in famine, Padcha mimavet, he saved you from death. V'nemar Hashem roi, lo echsar, Hashem is my shepherd, I will not lack anything. V'nemar lo yavoshu be'et ra'ah, u'b'mei re'avon yisba'u, they will not be embarrassed in a time of evil, and in a time of famine, they will be satiated. Remember what we spoke about in our first shiur. In our first shiur, we discussed the idea that according to the Chovot HaLevavot, it is his opinion. And remember, we spoke about the idea that not everybody, this isn't across the board. If you read the Chazon Ish, he says differently. But in the opinion of Chovot HaLevavot, which was written about 1,000 years ago, the Chovot HaLevavot's opinion is that when a person truly, sincerely puts his trust and faith in Hashem, Hashem will fulfill his request. And that's why he's saying what he's saying over here. When a person, he says over here, is trusting in Hashem to provide for him, to satisfy the needs of himself and his family, etc., and he puts his trust in Hashem, that causes a rachamim, a mercy from Shamayim, to actually fulfill that. That's what we said, Chovot HaLevavot said originally, and you see that he's continuing with the same theme. Because otherwise, how do you explain what he's saying? Maybe a person will not be able to get what he's looking for at this time. Right? The answer is no. When you put your bitachon in Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to take care of you. Now, I would like to bring this to a personality a little bit closer to our times. To show you this example in real life. There's a book in Hebrew. It's called Lapid Ish. It's called The Torch of Fire. It's about the Tzanz Kloisenberger Rebbe, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, Rebbe Cheskel Yekutiel Halberstam, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. I believe they have a version in English. It's really a worthwhile read. I want to just discuss with you a little bit about this great tzaddik, okay? Because we're going to learn a lot from him. This man was a great Rebbe, a Hasidic Rebbe, before the war and after the war. Now, he came into the war married with 9 children. He lost his wife and he lost 9 children in the Holocaust. Now, the interesting thing the story tells, a lot of different things the story tells us, but over here, it says that he stayed alone, with his faith, with his happiness, and he continued to follow the path of Hashem, even in the most trying of times. So the way that it worked is when somebody came to Auschwitz, so they would have the person shave from head to toe. He had no more peot, no more beard, no more hair, nothing. He arrived at Auschwitz and he sees 3 young men. And he sees that they don't have any hair, but he could tell about them that they were observant. And they made an impression on him. If you want to look it up, it's in Lapid Esh, page 167. He says the following. The Rebbe says to these 3 young men, tell me, do you believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is here with us in Auschwitz in the camp? And the 3 young men said, yes, we believe. Yes, we believe. So with great emotion, the Rebbe responded to them, remember very well, and don't forget, the creator of all worlds is present here with us, and he will save us. I promise you that in the merit of your emunah, you will be saved and you will merit to be freed and released alive from here. And amazingly, these 3 young men all survived the war. Something very rare. It doesn't usually happen like that. Unfortunately, if you read the stories, you see it's not really like that most of the time. Now, at one point, when the Rebbe was in the camps, he said that somebody said to him, okay, we will all end up dying here. He made a comment like that. We're all going to end up dying over here. So the Rebbe, they said, he responded very firmly. And he said, don't say we. You can't say we. You have no right to speak for me. Speak for yourself. I believe with all honesty that both you and I will get out of here. If you disagree, say what you want about yourself. But I'm sure that we're getting out of here. So the rabbi, he was very clear on his bitachon. So the gentleman said to him, how do you know this, Rebbe, that we'll get out? So the Rebbe said with great strength, Hashem is with us here. He will definitely save us. Like that, with clarity, no doubts. So again, it's a level that is very difficult to come by. It's hard to be in the death camps, literally, where you see people dying in front of your eyes all the time. And yet this rabbi, in his greatness, still saw Hashem with him every step of the way and never lost sight of the fact that it's Hashem who is with him all the time. He said about himself, while he was in the concentration camps, that he never violated even one Shabbat with an Isur Deoraita. He says, if you're very careful on Shabbat, even in the concentration camps, you can keep Shabbat and not violate even one Isur Deoraita. He was an amazing person. He kept wearing tefillin every day. He managed to procure tefillin and he hid it and he put it on every single day. He was an incredible personality, a great tzaddik. But my point is that he took the approach of the Chovot HaLevavot. He took the approach of the Sefer we're learning now. That if I truly, truly gather all my strength and I put it all in the bitachon towards Hashem, I have no doubt that Hashem will save me, and Hashem saved him. And those that he encouraged to do the same, Hashem did the same for them as well. So it's a very unique attitude. There are people that they say that for some reason they were inches away from the crematorium and then they were taken back. Inches away again, taken back almost 8 times, and every time they were saved. There are really amazing, incredible stories about it. But my point to you in all this is, in order to understand what the Chovot HaLevavot is saying, Hashem ro'i lo ichsar, Hashem is my shepherd, I will not lack anything. Why? Because if I'm trusting in my capabilities, my financial abilities, my this, my that, whatever it may be, so then Hashem, like we said in the beginning, he throws you to trust on that. Okay, you want to rely on that, see where it gets you. But if you want to rely on me, so then it doesn't make a difference where you are, what your situation may be, it's always going to be me that helps you, and I have nothing stopping me from helping you, Hashem says. So that's the attitude Chovot HaLevavot says it. I think one place we find this in the Tanakh, where the Mefarshim point out this concept, is when the Jewish people were standing by the Yam Suf in Mitzrayim. There's a very interesting pasuk there. Moshe Rabbeinu calls out to Hashem. He says, Hashem, we've got the Egyptians behind us. We've got this sea in front of us. There's nowhere to go. So help us. So Hashem tells Moshe a very interesting pasuk. Ma titzak elai. What are you screaming at me for? Daber el bnei Yisrael v'yisau. Tell the Jewish people and let them go. And the Or HaChaim HaKadosh asked, this is a very puzzling pasuk. What do you mean? Why are you screaming to me? Well, who are they supposed to daven to? What's going on? What kind of statement? Why are you screaming towards me? Well, who are they supposed to pray to? So the Or HaChaim HaKadosh says over here that Hashem was responding to Moshe Rabbeinu, an interesting thing. And that was that, of course, Hashem says, I want to make a miracle for you. I want to do something special for you. I want to make something happen to save you. But right now in Shamayim, there's a kitrug, there's a din, there's a judgment against you. There's a prosecuting attorney that's saying that you don't deserve it. There's something here that's blocking me from helping you. You now need to step up your game and do something to tip the scale in favor of me doing something for you. You have to initiate something on your own in order to push for some kind of nest to happen for you. And says the Or HaChaim HaKadosh, you have to be mitatzmim be'emunah. You have to strengthen yourself with incredible amounts of emunah. And by doing so, you will initiate a tremendous amount of rachamim, of mercy from Shamayim, from Hashem. And that's how you're going to get what you need to tip the scale in the favor of a miracle for you. So therefore, when Nachshon went in and he showed, I believe that Hashem is going to save us no matter what, he pushed the scale in favor of Rachamim, and that's what enabled, so to say, Hashem to overpower the attribute of mercy, to overpower the attribute of din. You look in the Or HaChaim HaKadosh, he explains this all at great length. So the act that shows and displays the emunah that you have in Hashem helps Hashem, so to say, to allow for an abundance of mercy to come in your direction. So that over here is the idea of how the emunah that a person has can positively affect his present situation. Now, again, I'm not saying that we're at the level that we are able to do that. I'm not saying that it's an easy thing to do. I'm just explaining that there are times where this is the method that is being used, and therefore that's what Chovot HaLevavot, I believe, is telling us over here, where he says that a person, no matter what the situation may be, no matter where he may be, because of his emunah in Hashem, there will be such a rachamim in his direction that he will be able to survive and to withstand whatever situation he is in. We good on that one? Any questions? No? Okay, good. Excellent. Very good. So that's a beautiful piece from the Orach Chaim HaKadosh that if you ever have a chance to look it up, they actually have it in English. Look that up. That's in Parashat B'Shalach, which we're going to come up in a bunch of weeks, B'Zat Hashem. Take a look at that pasuk, Ma titzak elai. The Orach Chaim HaKadosh explains that exact concept. I believe it is related to what the Chovot HaLevavot is telling us now. Okay, so that being said, again, I just want to make it clear. Are you understanding what I'm saying? That the mechanism, how this works? The mechanism, the emunah and the bitachon that a person works on himself and truly places his trust in Hashem arouses the rachamim min hashamayim. That's what he's explaining over here. Absolutely. I'm not saying that it's easy. But that's the idea that he's. Remember, we spoke about the idea that there are those that reviewed this part of Chovot HaLevavot many times, like even 30, 40 times, and then they realize finally, we don't really have bitachon yet. We don't really have it yet. There's
yeah. The point is like, no matter what the outcome is going to be, then that's what Hashem wants.
Of course.
But like
that is of course true.
I'm thinking of Habitachon if like my outcome turns out to be like a positive one.
That's correct. That's correct. There's two things going on at the same time. There is the understanding.
Also Habitachon, but like I'm saying, like their outcome didn't turn out like the ones that were saved. So
that's what I'm trying to say. There are two things that we have to remember. Number one, the idea that not necessarily are we at the level that we have what's being described over here, and therefore the desired result, so to say, is not necessarily going to come in our direction. But of course, besides for that, there's the idea that no matter what ends up happening, that was Ratzon Hashem, definitely after the fact, and that's undeniable, so to say. We have to be willing to come to terms with that, no matter what happens. And
so because of that, I kind of get to that first level, because of like whatever happens is the will of Hashem. So how do you like? It's almost like you're trying to change the will of Hashem, and you know what I'm saying? Like if you're.
It's a certain
thing, like you change the will of Hashem because you're like
it's not the will of Hashem. It's that sometimes, like the Orach Chaim HaKadosh was explaining, sometimes there's a prosecution against either a person or a people or a group or whatever it may be. At that moment, it was against Bnei Yisrael in its totality, and they were going to literally die at the hands of the Egyptians. And the Orach Chaim HaKadosh explains that they weren't able to move. They weren't able to go anywhere. So Hashem says, you're not focusing on what you need to be focusing on. Don't pray right now. Show your emunah in me now. Now is your moment to show your emunah. If you show your emunah, your bitachon, that will tip the scale in favor of against the prosecution, and that will show that no, you have zechuyot, you have merit that will enable me to do for you. That's, in other words, it's a mechanism of increasing merit. That's really what it is. So it has the ability to do so. Now, again, that doesn't take away from the fact that if something does not end up happening, that's not the will of Hashem. Of course, that was the will of Hashem. And it's important for us to understand that we will never truly know until after 120 why all these certain things that have taken place. Why do certain tragedies? We will never really know until we are no longer limited by time and space in the physical body. We're never actually going to know. So therefore, we have to have that emunah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows what he's doing. We spoke about that at great length as well. Okay, good. So I want to talk about that. Let's go. Hayitron Hashmini. The eighth advantage of the Baal Habitachon over the alchemist who can convert tin and iron into precious metals is that Oman HaKimika eino mitakev be'af makom biglal hapachad shelo. This chemist cannot ever stay in one place because of his fear. Pen yitgale sod umanuto, lest his secret to his becoming a rich person will become revealed. In other words, he's always on the run. He's always moving around from here to there in order to maintain his precious secret about how he does what he does. But somebody who has trust in Hashem, and that's how he earns his success, so to say. Yoshev be'aretzo lavetach. He's able to stay in one place comfortably. Shochen bimkomo. He's able to stay in his place bimnuchat hanefesh, with a relaxed soul. Kemo shekatuv betach ba'Hashem va'aseh tov. Have faith in Hashem and do good. Shechon eretz u'ra'eh emunah. Dwell in your land and be a person with emunah. V'ne'emar tzadikim yirshu aretz v'yishkinu la'ad alea. So the idea again is that a person that has bitachon, he does not have to be constantly on the move. You know how many times people are on the move from one location to the other? People move from, different states to other states. This guy moved to Florida. This guy moved to Texas because they have no, what's it called? In Texas, there's no income tax, state income tax. A lot of people open up their businesses in Delaware for certain reasons over here, over there, all kinds of different reasons to move from this location, all kinds of different fears that might come up. This guy's trying to hide from taxes, right? Financially, people are always in fear of the authorities. The Baal HaBitachon does not have such a fear. He feels no need to move anywhere. Hashem is going to take care of him right where he is. And that, I believe we spoke about it once as well, but it's important to remember as well that people don't have to live lifestyles where they are constantly away from their wives, away from their children, not able to raise them, etc. Because if you truly have bitachon, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu can give me my parnasah right here, right where I need to be, with my wife, with my children, etc. And I don't need to run around the world in order to, provide for my sustenance. It's an interesting concept, and as opposed to this alchemist that he's always on the run. Okay. Hayitron HaTeshi'i, the ninth advantage that the Baal HaBitachon has over the alchemist. She'oman HaKimika, en HaKimika shelo melava oto achrei moto. The Chovot HaLevavot knows who he's talking to. He knows that we are a bunch of people here that truly believe in Hashem, and we believe that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu created this world, why does the Torah start with a bet? Because it's not just one world Hashem created, He created bet. He created two worlds, Olam Hazeh and also Olam Haba, the world after a person passes away. And this world is just a corridor to the world to come. I had a roommate, a lovely, wonderful roommate in yeshiva. Before he went to sleep every night, he would say this Mishnah from Pirkei Avot. This world is like a corridor on the way to the world to come. Make yourself prepared in the hallway so that you can enter into the grand ballroom. You would say that every night. Beautiful. So the Chovot HaLevavot says, you have to understand, this world is just a hallway. It's just a corridor. That means that the chemist, the alchemist who we are speaking about, who has amassed a tremendous wealth, none of that is going to go with him to Olam Haba. Let's read it inside again. He says, En hakimika shelo, all of his gold and silver that he has created, none of it is melava oto achrei moto, none of it is what he takes in the world to come. Hu lo masiga al yada rak et habitachon mehaoni. The only thing that he gets from it is that he's not going to become poor. He won't need people's help. However, ilu haboteach b'Hashem, the person who has true faith and trust in Hashem, sechar habitachon, the reward for his faith in Hashem, melave oto ba'olam hazeh, it accompanies him both in this world, u'ba'olam haba, and in the world to come. Kemo shekatuv, as it is written in Tehillim, Ve'abotech ba'Hashem chesed yisovevenu. Somebody who trusts in Hashem, chesed, kindness, will surround him. And then the pasuk says, and pay careful attention, he proves everything with the pasuk. Ma rav tuvcha asher tzafanta lire'echa. How great is the goodness you have hidden for those who fear you. Ha'alta, you have done lachosim bach, for those who trust in you. Meaning, when you trust in Hashem, Hashem notices that. And he has a special place in Olam Haba, in the world to come, for people that truly, truly trusted him. I want to focus your attention to one thing. What do we say in Amidah every day? Look at this. Look how beautiful this is in this world. Think about it this way. We say in Amidah, the whole Jewish people says every day, 3 times a day, V'ten sachar tov lechol habotechim b'shimcha be'emet. Ten, Hashem, we all of us daven. Ten sachar tov, give good reward, lechol habotechim, to all those who trust b'shimcha, in your name, be'emet, in truth. Can you imagine? That means that if you have real bitachon in Hashem, the whole Jewish people is praying for you. It's a beautiful thing if you think about it. You ever think about that? Every single day, the whole Jewish people is praying for you. Why? Because you have bitachon in Hashem. And then we say, V'sim chelkeinu imahem, and put our portion with those people. Those people that have bitachon. We want to be like them. Consider us like them, Hashem. It's such a powerful thing. So that's what the Chovot HaLevavot is telling us. The alchemist, he has money. Good for him. So that means he doesn't have to ask people for money. It means he doesn't have to ever need food stamps. Okay, wonderful. He has money. Does he take it with him to Olam Haba? Nothing. None of it goes with him to Olam Haba. Zero. Not his house, not his car, not his bank account, not his 401k. None of it goes with him to Olam Haba. Nothing. Right? But the person that has chesed, that has bitachon in Hashem, that bitachon is going to take him forward throughout his entire life, and in Olam Haba as well. And not only that, what I'm adding is that, and the entire Jewish people is praying for the success of that person, which is a tremendous thing. Okay, and we move on. The last and final advantage of the Baal Habitachon over the alchemist. Hayitron ha'asiri, the 10th advantage. If it will become public what this guy is doing, that he's converting tin and iron into metal, then that will be the cause of his death. Why? Because he's doing something that goes against the nature of the world. In other words, he's tricking the world. We all know that you can't really do this. You know, there were people at a certain time in history that thought that you could. I think it was Leonardo da Vinci that was of the opinion that you could really do these kinds of things. It turns out that you can't. So that means that if you are actually involved in some kind of scam like this, you are actually producing counterfeit money or something like that. In other words, it's an illegal activity. But the point over here again is that the alchemist is just a persona that is describing an individual who's reaching for the heights financially, but at the same time, there's always something in his background that is not exactly, I guess, to the standards of the law, which could be something that they come after him for. Everybody, if you dig up something, on anybody, there's going to be something, whether it's taxes or this or that, it doesn't make a difference who it is. They can always put together some kind of file. They could make it up. The point is that this could be this act of, so to say, counterfeit things that he's doing. Kol ma'asavim ziyuf v'ramaut. It's all lies. It's going to bring him to his downfall. V'aborei barach. But if you have trust in Hashem, hamanhig et hakol, יביא אותו לידי כך שלא יוכל להעלים את סודו וישתית עליו שימית אותו. Hashem could cause it to destroy this guy. But on the other hand, if you trust in Hashem, כאשר יתגלה ביטחונו, if people discover that you have ביטחון in Hashem, and they understand that you really believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with you wherever you go, adirabba, the exact opposite, bar'aks, right? Did I say that right? Right? Chashivuto, his greatness. Tigdal be'enei habriot. People will look at this person as a higher level. Bnei Adam yichabdu oto, they'll respect him. V'hem yachlu le'atzmam limatzeh b'kirvato v'lirot oto. They would want to be close to him. They want to see him. V'hu yeh gorem shetavo to'elet v'tova le'iro. And this is the reason that goodness and wonderful benefit will come to his city. As a matter of fact, says Chovot HaLevavot, when somebody has true faith in Hashem, he provides protection to his entire neighborhood, to his entire city. Anshe mekomo yinatzlu mikol tzara. People will be saved from all kinds of difficulty and suffering. How do we know this? Because the Torah says, V'tzadik yesod olam, that tzaddik is the foundation of the world. And look at what we just come up on. Very interesting. This week's Parsha. He brings us a proof from this week's Parsha from an unexpected source. He says, look what happens to Lot. Lot is an individual who is, I guess, it's an interesting personality in the Torah. This is a person that's struggling with emunah and money. It's a guy that's having an issue. He likes Avraham Avinu. He wants to be close to Avraham Avinu. He's not an idol worshiper. But at the same time, he finds himself struggling with the fact that he really wants to have a very nice and wealthy lifestyle, and he goes to live with the people of Sodom. Unfortunately, they don't have 10 tzaddikim to save them, and for all the bad things that they do, they're in trouble, and Hashem is about to overturn the city. But because of Lot being who he was, doing achnasat orchim, and because of the fact that Lot did not open his mouth when Paro wanted to take Sarai, and he kept quiet. He didn't say that's husband and wife over there, not brother and sister. He kept his mouth shut. Hashem saved him. Okay, very good. So he had Habitachon in Hashem, and therefore Hakadosh Baruch Hu saved him. Now look what happens. He's about to get taken out, and then he says to the Malachim, he says, "Look, I don't want to stay up in a mountain. Okay." I'm afraid. What happens if I'm too close to the mountain over here? I'm going to get burns from all this stuff that you guys are spraying down on this city. This is not for me. I want to go to a city called Shaar. Okay? This is this week's Parsha. Take a look. I want to go to Shaar. So they say, look, okay, we'll do that for you. You want to go to Shaar? Go to Shaar. So they waited for Lot to go to Shaar. Now, Shaar was one of the cities that was supposed to get burnt as well, right? But because he went there and Hashem is protecting him, why? Because he's a Baal Bitachon, he understands that this is real. So Hashem saves the whole city of Shaar. Shaar was saved in the zchut of Lot. So he saved an entire city because he had what? Bitachon. That's not me, it's Chovot HaLevavot on this week's Parsha. Amazing thing. So therefore, says the Chovot HaLevavot, when a person has emunah and has bitachon in Hashem, but truly understands that everything is min hashamayim, and he puts his faith and trust in Hashem and does what's right, you have to understand, Lot did something huge. To be somebody that's willing to risk your life to bring guests into your home, that's a tremendous thing. He knew, he was a judge in Sodom. He knew that that's a capital offense in Sodom. He knew that. And he did it anyway. He knew this is what Hashem wants, Hachnasat Orchim, to bring guests into your home. So he was Moser Nefesh for that. So Hashem says, you're Moser Nefesh, you're doing something because you have bitachon in me, so I save you. Not only that, but because you did what you did, you're going to save an entire city. It's the most incredible thing. They say over Moshe Feinstein, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, he was once sitting in his apartment on the Lower East Side, and they said that a city bus hit and killed a young boy that was from the neighborhood. So they told him that information, and he said it never happened like that. It was on his block. They said it happened on his block. They said this is what happened. He said, it didn't happen. They said, no, we just heard that there was a boy, a Jewish boy he was killed by a city bus. He was riding his bike and they didn't see him. And he said, it didn't happen, never happened. Just like that. So afterwards they found out that it was not a kid from the Jewish community over there. So they asked him, how did you know that we were off in the story? He said, listen, I might not have zechut on the entire Manhattan, but on my block, it's not happening. Like that, it's an amazing thing. It's just not happening. Moshe Feinstein, the Gdol Ador. So therefore, Rabotai, Chovot HaLevavot is telling us that not only do you bring zechut to yourself when you have bitachon in Hashem, not only do you help yourself and you bring yourself to Olam Haba, etc. Not only do you have the entire Klal Yisrael praying for you for your success, but you also then are the reason that others have what they need, which is an incredible thing. That in your zechut, because you have bitachon, others are protected and saved because of you, which is an incredible thing. So you see the power of investing in one's bitachon in Hashem. And of course, like we said, it takes effort. It takes a lot of time and work. We spoke about how we can do so by in davening. When you say the words, have in mind that everything is in the control of Hashem. Like we said, Eshu Varad, Sheleg V'Kitor. We say in davening every day, fire and hail, right? Sheleg, snow and smoke, steam. Everything is under the power and control of Hashem. These are things we drill into our minds every day in order to remind ourselves that everything is under the control of Hashem, and that all we have to do is put our trust in Him. And that way, HaKadosh Baruch Hu should bless us all. I'm going to stop over here for tonight. Thank you very much for joining me. If we have any questions, now is a wonderful time to go ahead.